She was mine for 7 hours in a broken elevator. Then her ex tried to destroy her. The elevator dropped hard enough to make my coffee jump out of the lid and hit the wall. Not a long drop. Not the kind you see in movies where everybody screams and starts making peace with their tax history. Just one ugly metal jolt between the 5th and 6th floors, then a stop so sudden my shoulder hit the side panel. The lights flickered once, then again, then they went out. A second later, the emergency strip came on, dim and yellow, just enough to show me the woman standing across from me had gone completely still. "Hey," I said. "You good?" She didn't answer. She was maybe my age, maybe a year or two older. Pretty in a way I noticed before I wanted to admit I noticed. But what grabbed my attention wasn't that. It was the fact that she was staring at the closed doors like they had personally offended her. Her hand moved to the rail. "Hey," I repeated, softer this time. "Look at me." "I can't," she whispered. "Sure you can." "No, I mean I can't be in here." Her voice cracked on the last word, and that changed everything. I'd been annoyed 5 seconds before. I'd had a long day at work, my tie was already loosened, and I was thinking about leftover pizza and a shower. Real heroic stuff. But panic has a sound when it's real. It cuts through your mood fast. I pressed the emergency call button. A flat voice came through. "Security. Elevator 3 is stuck between floors. 2 people inside. Are either of you injured?" I looked at her. She shook her head too fast, like she wanted that to be true more than she knew it was. "No injuries," I said. "But she's having a hard time breathing. I'm dispatching maintenance and fire rescue. Please remain calm." "Great," I muttered. That was definitely the plan. The speaker clicked off. The woman slid down against the wall before I could stop her. She sat on the floor, knees pulled in, one hand pressed to her chest. "I'm sorry." That almost became a laugh, then shook her head. "I can't get enough air. You can. You're getting air. Your brain's just being dramatic. My brain is not helping. Mine rarely does, so I'm not judging." I sat down across from her, not too close, close enough that she wasn't alone, far enough that I wasn't another problem in a small metal box. "What's your name?" I asked. "Emily. I'm Mark." She nodded, but her eyes kept jumping around the elevator. "Emily, look at my hand." "Why?" "Because it's less interesting than the walls. That's the point." She looked at my hand. "Good. Breathe in with me. 4 seconds. I can't count right now. I can. I have many useless talents." She tried. The first breath came out messy. "That one was terrible," I said. She blinked at me. "What?" "I'm giving honest feedback. Second attempt. Better posture. Less panic. More oxygen." That time she actually laughed, barely, but enough to break the rhythm of fear. "Are you always this calm?" "No. I'm just deeply committed to pretending." "That's not comforting. It's honest. Comforting comes later." I counted with her in. Hold. Out. Again. Then again. After a few minutes, her shoulders dropped a little. She stopped gripping the rail like it owed her money. The speaker crackled again. "Security told us help was on the way, but the problem was electrical, and they were waiting for the fire departments before forcing anything open." "How long?" I asked. "Could be a while. That's specific." "I'm sorry, sir." Emily closed her eyes. "No," she said. "No, no, no. Don't go there yet," I told her. "I'm already there. Then come back." She opened her eyes and looked at me. There was fear in her face, but there was also irritation now, which I took as progress. Panic makes people disappear inside themselves. Irritation brings them back to the room. "How?" she asked. "We kill time." "With what?" "There's no signal." I checked my phone. One useless bar that vanished while I stared at it. "Okay," I said. "Bad news. We have no signal." "So what? We tell ghost stories?" "No. I refuse to die emotionally in an elevator. We play cities." "Cities?" "You say a city. I say another city that starts with the last letter of yours." "That's your plan?" My plan was leftover pizza. "We're adapting." She stared at me for a second, then breathed out. "Fine. Chicago. Oakland. Denver. Raleigh. Honolulu. That's cheap. It's a city. It's too good. You want me to apologize for geography?" She laughed for real then. It wasn't loud, it didn't fix the elevator, but it changed the air in there. At first we played like two strangers trying not to lose our minds. Then we started cheating. We argued about whether small towns counted. She accused me of making up a place in Montana. I accused her of disrespecting Montana as a concept. After an hour we were sitting side by side because the floor was cold and awkward, and somehow that felt less strange than shouting city names across the elevator. After 2 hours, the game turned into questions. What do you do? She asked. Project coordinator for a construction management firm. That sounds like you carry a clipboard and disappoint people. That is hurtfully accurate. What about you? Marketing assistant at a medical supply company. So you write emails that make gauze sound exciting. I once wrote a paragraph about ergonomic bandage storage. America thanks you. She smiled and leaned her head back against the wall. I learned she had moved into the building 3 months earlier. I'd lived there nearly 2 years. Same building, same floor, different hallway, and we had never once met. That sounded impossible until I thought about my routine. Work, gym, groceries, apartment. I wasn't rude to neighbors. I was efficient with them. Big difference, I told myself, because I liked pretending I was emotionally organized. You really never noticed me, she asked. I notice important things. Nice save. Once accused me of stealing her laundry quarters. I paid with my card. Did you? Did I what? Steal her quarters? Emily, I work in construction schedules. I'm already punished enough. She laughed again, and I liked it. Too much, considering we were sitting in a broken elevator with emergency lighting, making everyone look like they were being questioned by low-budget police. Around the 3rd hour, the easy jokes thinned out. Not in a bad way. More like we had run through the surface stuff and neither of us wanted silence to take over. She asked, "Do you always know what to do?" "No, you acted like you did. That's not the same thing." She looked down at her hands. "I hate small spaces. I didn't think it was this bad." "Something happened?" She was quiet long enough that I almost took it back. "Bad relationship," she said. "Long story." I nodded. "You don't have to give me the director's cut." "I know." She picked at the edge of her phone case, then stopped herself. "He made everything feel like a trap. Rooms, conversations, plans. If I wanted to leave, it became a fight. If I stayed, it became a lecture. After a while, even an elevator feels like somebody else gets to decide when you're allowed out." I didn't answer right away. There are moments where a guy wants to say the perfect thing, and that usually means he should shut up. Finally, I said, "Well, nobody gets to decide that tonight except maintenance, apparently, and they are not impressing me." She glanced at me. That was almost thoughtful. I panicked. I won't tell anyone. After the 4th hour, we shared a protein bar from my bag and a pack of mints from hers. Dinner of champions. She told me she'd been trying to start over quietly. New apartment, new job, new routines. Nothing dramatic, just a clean line between who she had been with him and who she wanted to be without him. I told her I respected that. She asked, "Have you ever had to start over? Not like that?" That's not an answer. "No," I had, "while I'm still figuring out which socks are clean." She smiled. "You're 25? Almost. I'm 26. Older woman. Careful." I said it with respect. "You'd said it like you were proud you survived one extra year." I'm proud of many small things. At some point, the elevator stopped feeling like a trap and started feeling like a place no one else could enter. That was dangerous in its own way. People say things in the dark they might not say under normal lights. Not because they're fake, because the rules are softer. Emily told me she had almost not taken that elevator. She'd stood in the lobby for a minute, debating the stairs, then decided she was being ridiculous. "I hate that," she said. "What? When your fear is right for the wrong reason." I thought about that. Maybe your fear wasn't right. Maybe the elevator was wrong. That sounds like something printed on a cheap mug. "I'll sell it. Mark's Elevator Wisdom. You need a better brand. You're in marketing. Fix me. I'm trapped with you." That doesn't make me your consultant. When the doors finally opened, the hallway beyond them was too bright, too loud, too full of people. Firefighters, building maintenance, a security guard, and 3 neighbors who had clearly decided this counted as entertainment. Emily stood up too fast and wobbled. I caught her by the elbow, then let go as soon as she had her balance. "You okay?" She nodded, but she looked different now, not panicked, exposed. A firefighter helped her step out. Maintenance asked if we needed medical attention. Mrs. Donnelly from 4B stared at me like this somehow involved her missing quarters. "You two know each other?" she asked. Emily looked at me. "Apparently," I said. She smiled, but the hallway had already changed things. 7 hours in a broken elevator had felt weirdly simple. The second we were out, we were strangers again, standing in front of neighbors with bad lighting and better gossip instincts. Terrible geography. You're welcome. She took another step away. I knew that if I let her walk off, the whole thing would become one of those stories people tell later with a strange smile. One time I got stuck in an elevator with this guy. That would be it. So I did something I normally didn't do with neighbors, strangers, or women who had just shared a survival dinner of mints and protein powder. Emily, she stopped. Give me your number. Her eyebrows lifted. Not very subtle. I've been subtle for 7 hours. I'm exhausted. The firefighter beside us coughed like he was trying not to laugh. Emily looked down, then back at me. You sure? No. But I'm interested. That landed differently. Her face softened. Okay, she said. She gave me her number. I texted her immediately so she had mine. My message was simple. Denver was a valid answer. She looked at it, then looked at me. It was questionable. So is meeting me for coffee tomorrow. She bit back a smile. 10:10. The next morning, I expected the coffee to be awkward. It was. For about 4 minutes, we met at a small cafe 2 blocks from our building. Daylight made her look more real, which somehow made her more attractive. Not perfect. Real. A little tired, guarded in a way she tried to hide, but quick with the comeback when she relaxed. You look different when you're not about to sue an elevator, I told her. You look taller when I'm not sitting on the floor questioning my life choices. I get that a lot. No, you don't. No, I don't. We ordered coffee. She insisted on paying for hers. I didn't argue. Something about her made me understand fast that help was welcome, control was not. That became important later. For the first couple of weeks, things moved in a way I didn't know how to slow down. We didn't call them dates at first, because apparently adults enjoy lying to themselves with scheduling terms. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became walking back together. Walking back became too much. You live alone. I'm bad at portions. That bag has 2 forks. She looked at it, then at me. I'm very bad at portions. I stepped inside. Her apartment looked like she was still deciding whether she was staying. A couch, a small table, a few framed prints leaning against the wall instead of hanging. Boxes tucked in corners. Nothing messy. Nothing settled. You haven't unpacked everything. I said, I unpacked what I use. That's a depressing system. It's efficient. It's witness protection with throw pillows. She laughed, but not all the way. We ate noodles at her counter and talked about nothing important until it started feeling important. She teased me for cutting my food too neatly. I teased her for keeping 3 kinds of tea and no basic toolkit. I have scissors, she said. Scissors are not a toolkit. They cut things. So does a raccoon, probably. You're very confident for a man eating my food. Your food came from a restaurant. My credit card was involved. I respect your contribution. She pushed my arm lightly with her shoulder. It was nothing. It was everything. That was how it built. Not with big speeches. With small claims on each other's time. She started texting me during work. You alive, clipboard man? Barely. Bandage storage still thrilling? Don't flirt with me using office supplies. I didn't say I was flirting. That's why I said don't. I'd meet her in the lobby. She'd slow down when she saw me, like she had been walking normally until I became a reason not to. Sometimes she invited me in. Sometimes she didn't. When she didn't, I left. No sulking. No pressure. I liked her more for having a line and keeping it. About a month in, she came over to my place to watch a movie. We made it 30 minutes before she started judging the main character's decisions out loud. He's clearly lying, she said. It's a thriller. Everyone lies. Nobody's bad at it. Maybe he has other qualities. He left his phone unlocked on seriously. There it was. A small truth, dropped in the middle of a joke. I didn't push. I just handed her the bowl of popcorn. Then keep us alive. She settled deeper into the couch, close enough that her knee touched mine. She noticed. I noticed. Neither of us moved. Later, at her door, she looked at me with that same careful honesty from the elevator. I like this, she said. Good. I don't want to rush it. Good. You're not going to pretend that doesn't bother you? It bothers me a little. She blinked. I'm attracted to you, Emily. I'm not applying for sainthood. A laugh broke out of her before she could stop it. But I can handle slow, I added. Her expression changed, and for a second she looked like she might step closer. Instead, she nodded. Okay. I walked back to my apartment feeling like I had won something by not trying to take it. That was the part I didn't understand yet. How much of loving her would mean not grabbing for control just because control was familiar. The first crack came on a Thursday night. I was coming back from work later than usual. The hallway on our floor was quiet except for a man's voice near Emily's apartment. "You don't get to just disappear." I stopped. Emily answered, low and sharp, "Leave. After everything? That's cute." I turned the corner. A man stood too close to her door. Tall, clean haircut, expensive-looking coat, the kind of guy who looked like he practiced being reasonable in mirrors. Emily stood with one hand on the doorframe, her face pale but her spine straight. "Problem?" I asked. Both of them looked at me. The man's eyes moved over me like he was measuring whether I was worth his time. "Private conversation." Didn't sound private. Sounded like she told you to leave. He smiled without warmth. "And you are?" Before I could answer, Emily stepped toward me and took my arm. "He's my boyfriend." That hit me fast. Not because I didn't want it. Because we hadn't said that. The man stared at her. "Boyfriend," he said. "That's what we're doing now? Ryan, leave, Ryan." So this was him. He looked at me again. "You know what she does, right?" Emily's fingers tightened on my sleeve. I kept my voice even. "I know what you're doing right now." Ryan laughed once. "She tell you the sad version? The little trapped bird routine? Careful, or what?" I stepped closer. Not enough to touch him. Enough that he had to decide whether he wanted the next part. "Or you're going to walk away with less dignity than you arrived with. And from what I can see, you didn't bring much." His face hardened. Emily said, "Mark." That one word held me in place. Not fear, a warning. Ryan saw it and smiled. "There it is," he said. "She's already training you." I pointed down the hall. "Elevators that way. This isn't over. You keep saying things like you're in a budget cable drama. Go home." He stared at Emily one last time. "You're going to regret making me look stupid." Then he walked away. We stood there until the elevator doors closed behind him. Emily's hand dropped from my arm. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "I shouldn't have said that." "Boyfriend?" It just came out. "I've had worse promotions." She didn't smile. I opened her apartment door wider. Inside. She hesitated. Emily inside. This time she listened. The second the door shut, her composure went with it. She covered her face, then dropped her hands like she was angry at herself for almost crying. "I'm sorry," she said again. That was humiliating. It was loud. Different category. "You don't have to joke." "I kind of do, otherwise I'm going back into the hallway." She looked at me, and I saw fear there. Not fear of Ryan, fear that I believed him. "He's my ex," she said. "We broke up before I moved here. He didn't take it well. I gathered. He says things. He twists everything. If I didn't answer a call, I was hiding something. If I wanted space, I was cruel. If I went out with friends, I was not the way you mean." That answer made me want to put my fist through something. I didn't. Barely counts as growth, but there it was. "He liked making me feel small," she said. "And then he liked acting shocked when I finally left." I nodded slowly. "He called you names in the hall," she continued. "He'll say worse. About me, maybe to you, maybe to other people. I don't want you dragged into it. Too late." "Mark." "What?" "I'm serious." "So am I." She folded her arms. "You should think about whether this is worth it." I almost snapped back. I almost said, "You don't get to decide that for me." But she wasn't trying to insult me. She was scared. There's a difference, even if it sounds similar when you're proud. So I sat down on the couch, leaving space beside me. "Come here." She stood there for a second, then sat, careful not to touch me. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "Remember the elevator? That's not funny." Wasn't trying to be. Her eyes watered. "You were panicking," I said. "You thought the walls were deciding everything. I told you to look at my hand." She nodded. "So look at me now." She did. "I don't know Ryan. I know what I saw. You told him to leave. He didn't. You looked scared, and then you still stood up straight. That tells me more than his hallway performance." Her mouth tightened. "You believe me?" "Yes. You barely know the story. I know enough for tonight." She stared at me like she was waiting for the catch. "There's no heroic speech coming," I said. "I'm not wearing a cape under this shirt. It wrinkles." That got the smallest smile. "I'm not asking you to fix it," she whispered. "Good. I'm not qualified." I once made a shelf lean emotionally. She leaned into me then, not dramatically. Just enough that her shoulder touched mine. I put an arm around her and let her choose the rest. That night, we made a decision without turning it into a ceremony. We weren't going to let Ryan define what we were. We also weren't going to pretend he didn't exist. Opening a jar because apparently that was one of my official boyfriend duties now. Emily looked at the screen and went still. My mom, she said. Want me to step out? No, stay, she answered. Hi, Mom. I couldn't hear every word, but I heard enough from Emily's side. Stay. No, that's not true. A pause. No, I didn't hide anything from you. Another pause. Her face flushed. Because he's angry, she turned away from me, gripping the edge of the counter. Mom, please don't ask me like that. I set the jar down. After the call ended, she placed the phone on the counter with care that looked forced. He called my parents, she said. What did he say? That I was unstable. That I was seeing someone before we ended. That I was making things up about him because I wanted attention. Your parents believed him? My dad didn't. My mom is scared easily. He knows how to sound calm. I hated that. Calm liars get so much free credit in life. What do you need? I asked. She looked surprised. That's it? That's the question. I don't know. Then we don't answer it tonight. She let out a tired laugh. You say that like scheduling emotional collapse is normal. I work with subcontractors. Everything is scheduling collapse. She smiled, but it didn't last. A week later, he showed up at her work. Not inside her office, exactly. In the lobby, he talked to the receptionist. Then someone from another department. Then one of her coworkers asked if everything was okay with her ex because he seemed really worried. Emily told me this in my truck after work. She had asked me to pick her up, which she rarely did. She sat in the passenger seat with her bag in her lap and kept looking through the windshield. He didn't yell, she said. That's the worst part. If he yelled, people would see it. He was polite, concerned. Like I'm some problem he's trying to handle responsibly. What did your boss say? She asked if I needed support. She was kind about it, but now she knows. I can talk to him. No, I don't mean talk like a cartoon caveman. Yes, you do. I looked at her. She looked right back. Mark, what? You have that face. What face? The face that says you're about to solve a problem in the dumbest masculine way available. That's a hurtful amount of accuracy. I'm not joking. I know. She took a breath. I don't want him turning you into part of his show. He already made me part of it. No, he's trying. There's a difference. I didn't like it, but she was right. I hated that even more. Ryan started appearing outside the building, not every night, just enough. Across the street when Emily and I walked in, near the parking garage, once near the mailboxes, pretending to check his phone. He never got close enough for a dramatic confrontation. He didn't need to. He wanted Emily to feel watched. He wanted me to feel challenged. One night we came back from dinner and saw him standing under the awning near the entrance. Emily stopped walking. I moved half a step in front of her. Ryan smiled. Relax, Mark. Public sidewalk. Then keep walking. Does she know you answer for her now? Emily stepped around me. He doesn't, she said. And you don't get to talk to him. Ryan's smile tightened. You always did like making men perform. I took one step forward. Emily caught my wrist. Not hard. Just enough. Don't, she said. Ryan's eyes dropped to her hand on me and I saw what he wanted. He wanted the scene. He wanted me angry, loud, stupid. He wanted Emily scared of what I might do. He wanted a crowd. I looked at him and forced myself to smile. You're not worth the paperwork. His jaw moved. Emily pulled out her phone. I'm calling building security. Ryan laughed. For standing? For bothering residents, I said. It's a hobby you seem committed to. He left before security came down. Inside the lobby, Emily looked shaken, but she also looked angry in a clean, focused way. I hate this, she said. I know. I hate that I was mocking him. That mattered. But pressure has a way of getting into quiet places. Over the next 2 weeks, Emily started pulling back. At first it was small. She canceled dinner because she was tired. Fair. Then she didn't answer a few texts until the next day. Also fair, technically. Then she stopped coming over after work. She said she needed sleep, space, a clean head. I gave her room because she asked for it. But distance has a sound too. It sounds like fewer jokes. Shorter answers. A door closing gently instead of slamming, which somehow feels worse. One Friday, I found her sitting on the bench outside our building, not going in. Her work bag sat beside her. She looked worn out in a way coffee couldn't fix. Hey, I said. She wiped under one eye fast. Hey, you sitting here for the view of the parking lot? I'm building character. That lot will do it. She tried to smile. Failed. I sat beside her. Talk to me. I don't want to, okay? We sat in silence for maybe a minute. Then she said, people at work are being weird. Because of Ryan, because of what he says, because he keeps calling. Because nobody knows what to believe and everyone pretends they're not curious. What did he say now? She shook her head. Does it matter? Yes. No, it doesn't. Because if I repeat it, it gets inside this too. This? She looked at me then. Use. That was the first time she said it like it was a thing with weight. Emily, you didn't ask for this? I asked for your number after 7 hours in a dead elevator. I'm not known for easy choices. This is different. Yeah, it's worse lighting. She didn't laugh. I'm serious, Mark. He's trying to embarrass me until I run. And now you're standing next to me while people look at me like I'm a bad decision. People look at vending machines like they have moral opinions. People are not always useful. You're not listening. I am. No. You're making jokes because you want me to stop hurting. That one landed clean. I leaned to make you leave before this gets uglier. There it was. The point where fear tries to dress itself up as kindness. I'm not leaving because he's loud. I might ask you to. I turned to her. Do you want me gone? She looked down. That's not fair. It's the only question that matters. Her voice dropped. No, then don't package it as mercy. She closed her eyes. I can't be the reason your life gets messy. My life was not a museum before you. You know what I mean? I do. But you're not responsible for his choices. I was with him, and then you left. I should have left sooner. Probably. She looked at me, hurt flashing across her face. I didn't soften it too much, because I meant it. But sooner is gone, I said. Now is here. She looked away again. I don't want you fighting him. That was when my patience snapped a little. Not at her, at the whole situation. At Ryan standing outside buildings with his fake calm. At her coworkers whispering. At her mother asking questions because some polished loser had made lies sound polite. Then what do you want? I asked. Because right now he gets to show up wherever he wants, say whatever he wants, call whoever he wants, and we're just supposed to sip tea and evolve. Her face tightened. That's not what I said. It's what's happening. You think I don't know that. I think you're trying to survive it by shrinking. She stood up. And I think you're trying not to feel helpless by getting ready to break something. We stared at each other. She was right, completely right, annoying habit. I can go talk to him, I said, quieter. No, Emily. No, not like that. You don't even know what I was going to say. I know enough. You'll find him, get in his face, and maybe he backs down, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he calls the police. Maybe he tells everyone I got my new boyfriend to threaten him. Maybe he gets exactly what he wants. I looked away. She stepped closer. I need you to hear me. I am not asking you to be weak. I'm asking you not to have my life. On job sites. In bars when someone got stupid. With guys who understood lines only when the line pushed back. But this wasn't that. Ryan didn't want a fair confrontation. He wanted a stage. Emily picked up her bag. I'm going upstairs, she said. Alone? Yes. I hated that answer, but I nodded. Text me when you're inside. She gave me a tired look. Don't manage me. Then text me because I care. Her expression softened, but only for a second. Okay. She walked in without looking back. I stood outside for a while, feeling like I had lost an argument and maybe deserved to. Her text came 4 minutes later. Inside, I typed 3 different replies and deleted all of them. Finally I sent, I heard you. She didn't answer until the next morning. I hope so. For 2 days we barely spoke, not because we were done, because we had hit the part of a relationship where liking each other wasn't enough. You have to learn how the other person needs to be loved when things are ugly. Nobody teaches that. You find out by failing near the edge. On Sunday evening, Emily knocked on my door. She stood there holding a folder. I made a list, she said. Of my flaws? Bold choice. We'll need more paper. She didn't smile, but her mouth twitched. Of everything he's done since he showed up here. I stepped aside. Come in. She sat at my kitchen table and opened the folder. Dates, times, screenshots, phone logs, notes from work. A message from her mother asking why Ryan was so worried. An email from her supervisor offering to discuss the visitor situation. I looked through it carefully. You did all this? I started after he came to the building the second time. Why didn't you tell me? Because writing it down made it real. I nodded. She folded her hands, then unfolded them. I called the non-emergency line today. I looked up. They said I can file a report. Nothing dramatic, just documentation. They said because he came to my workplace and keeps appearing. I held her eyes. Okay, and not to threaten anyone. Emily, I generally try not to threaten people inside police stations. I mean it, I know. She breathed out, and some of the tension left her shoulders. I'm scared, she said. I sat across from her. Of him? Of making it official, of feeling stupid. Of someone asking why I didn't do it sooner. If they ask that, they're bad at their job. What if I freeze? Then we sit there until you don't. What if I can't say it right? You don't have to perform it. You just have to tell it. She looked at the folder. I hate that he still gets this much space in my life. Then tomorrow we start taking some of it back. She reached across the table and took my hand. It wasn't dramatic, no big music. Just her hand in mine, warm and steady after weeks of fear trying to make her disappear. Thank you, she said, for not being a caveman. For trying. I prefer recovering caveman shows progress. This time she smiled. The next day I drove her to the police station after work. She wore the same careful expression she used when she was trying not to fall apart. I wanted to tell her she didn't have to be brave, but she was already being brave, and saying that felt like it would make the moment heavier. So I said, your folder is more organized than my entire apartment. She looked at it, in her lap. Color tabs help. You used color tabs? I panicked productively. That is attractive. She glanced at me. Do not flirt with me in a municipal parking lot. I'm under stress. Control yourself. Inside, we waited under bad ceiling lights with a few other people sitting around pretending not to listen to each other's lives. When her name was called, she looked at me once. I stood. She said, remember, I know, your voice first. She nodded. The officer who took her statement was a woman named Hernandez. Calm, direct, not cold. Emily started stiffly, reading from her list. Then her voice shook. Then she stopped. Emily took a breath. He waits outside my building, she said. He contacts my family. He came to my workplace. He tells people things that aren't true so they'll question me. I've told him to leave me alone. The officer nodded and wrote it down. Do you have records of the calls and messages? Yes. Emily opened the folder. As she went through it, something changed. Not all at once. But with every date she named, every screenshot she showed, every moment she said out loud, Ryan became less like a shadow and more like a man making choices. Choices with consequences. When we left, nothing magical happened. There were no sirens, no dramatic arrest, no final showdown in the parking lot. But Emily stood differently. At my truck, she leaned back against the door and covered her face for a second. You did it, I said. She nodded. I thought I'd feel better. You might later. I feel angry. That works too. She dropped her hands. He made me feel crazy for being scared. You were not crazy. I know that right now. Good. She looked at me for a long moment. You were quiet in there. Nearly killed me. I noticed. I deserve a certificate. She stepped closer, and for once there was no hesitation dressed as caution. You listened, she said. I'm learning. She kissed me then. Not because fear was gone, not because everything was solved. Because something important had shifted, and we both knew it. After that, the pressure didn't vanish overnight, but Ryan did. The officer called him. Emily didn't give me every detail, and I didn't ask for every detail. What mattered was simple. He stopped showing up, stopped calling her parents, stopped appearing near the building. Her workplace didn't see him again. A week passed, then two. Her mother called and apologized in that uncomfortable parent way, where half the apology is concern and half is an attempt not to admit they were wrong. Emily handled it better than I would have. At work, things settled. What it's worth, that guy gave me bad news and nice shoes energy. Emily told me that over dinner, and finally laughed like herself. Bad news and nice shoes energy? I repeated. She's from Ohio. They have phrases. I respect it. The first night she came over after everything quieted down, she fell asleep on my couch during a show she had insisted we watch. I didn't wake her right away. I sat there with the remote in my hand and realized how peaceful the room felt with her in it. That scared me more than the hallway had. Because fights are easy to understand. You either step forward or you don't. Peace asks different questions. Can you keep showing up when there's no emergency? Can you be steady when nobody is watching? Can you let another person change your routines without acting like you've been invaded? I was still learning those answers. A month later, Emily finally hung the framed prints in her apartment. I helped, mostly because she admitted her measure-by-vibe system had limits. A little higher, she said. I held the frame against the wall. Here, lower. You just said higher. I changed my mind. This is why civilizations fall. Mark. Fine. Here? She tilted her head. Perfect. I marked the spot and stepped down. You're bossy, I said. You like it. I like precision. You like me. I looked at her. She froze a little, like she hadn't meant to say it that plainly. I set the hammer on the counter. Yeah, I said. I do. Her face softened. I like you too. Good. That would have been a rough moment otherwise. She laughed and covered her face. You cannot let anything be sweet for more than 3 seconds. I'm building tolerance. She came closer. Try harder. So I did, not with a speech. I kissed her, slow enough that neither of us could pretend it was accidental, careful enough that she could step back if she wanted. She didn't. After that, we stopped acting like the relationship was something temporary we were monitoring for. Closest friend, Nate, took one look at us across a diner table and later told me, "You're less annoying with her." That's your blessing? I asked. That's premium affection from me. Emily liked him immediately, which I found suspicious. I met her parents over dinner at a quiet restaurant. Her dad shook my hand firmly and said, "She says you were with her at the station." I was in the chair beside her. She did the hard part. He looked at me for a second, then nodded. Her mother was nervous at first, but Emily didn't shrink around her. That mattered more to me than whether anyone liked me. After dinner, walking to the car, Emily slipped her hand into mine. You okay? I asked. Yeah, weirdly, you handled that. I know. That confidence in her voice was new. Not loud, not polished. Real. The idea of buying a house started as a joke. We were sitting on her floor, surrounded by boxes again, because her lease renewal had arrived, and mine was coming up too. She held the envelope like it had insulted her. They're raising rent, she said. Of course they are. This building charges luxury prices for elevators that double as social experiments. She looked at me. I looked back. No, I said. I didn't say anything. You had a face. I have a normal face. That was a Zillow face. She laughed. You're the one whose dad keeps telling him to buy. My dad also thinks every problem can be fixed with a socket wrench. Some can. Don't encourage him. But the joke stayed in the room. A week later, she sent me a listing. Too big, she wrote. I opened it at work and stared at the screen. 3 bedrooms. Small yard. Older house but solid. Outside the city enough to be quieter, close enough that our commutes wouldn't become punishment, I replied. Define too big, she answered. Bigger than fear. I read that twice. Then I called her. You understand that was almost poetic, I said when she picked up. I know. I'm ashamed. We can recover. Do you want to see it? With you? No, Mark. With Mrs. Had what I politely called historic moisture. Emily called it a swamp with outlets, but we kept looking. Not because moving in together solved everything. It didn't. We still argued. About timing, about money, about how fast was too fast. About whether we were making a decision because we were ready or because we wanted to outrun old fear. One night after a showing, we sat in my truck outside a house neither of us liked enough to admit we liked. She was quiet. What? I asked. I'm afraid if we do this, I'll wake up one day and realize I brought the past with me. You might. She looked at me. I don't mean Ryan, I said. I mean habits. Fear. Second guessing. I'll bring mine too. I still want to punch problems in the face when they need paperwork and patience. She smiled faintly. At least you know. Knowing and doing are different departments. She looked out the window at the house. I don't want a house to be a hiding place. Then we don't hide in it. What if I get scared again? Then you tell me. What if you get angry? Then I tell you before I turn into an idiot. She looked back at me. That's your growth plan? It has clear milestones. She laughed, then got serious again. I want this, she said. With me? With you. I nodded. Then we keep looking. We found our house 2 months later. It wasn't perfect. The back fence leaned. The garage door complained. One bathroom looked like someone had made choices during a very emotional decade. But the place felt usable, livable, like we could make decisions there without asking the past for permission. Emily walked through the empty living room and stopped near the window. What do you think? She asked. I think the garage needs work. Romantic. I also think I can see you here. She turned. That was better. I'm full of surprises. She walked back to me slowly. I can see you here too, she said. We sold our apartments faster than I expected and slower than my patience, and complained with the passion of a man who had agreed voluntarily and wanted credit forever. This better be real love, he said, hauling a box marked kitchen. Emily pointed at it. That says kitchen. Why are you taking it to the bedroom? Because your labeling system oppresses me. I took the box from him. You're done with delicate tasks. My talents are wasted here. Your talents peaked at showing up. Emily laughed from the porch, and I watched her for a second. She looked tired, happy, and fully present. Not scanning the street, not checking over her shoulder, just standing in front of a house she had chosen. Later, when everyone left and the place was half boxes and half chaos, Emily and I sat on the living room floor with takeout containers between us. She looked around. We own a ladder, big day for us, and a lawnmower. I'm emotionally unprepared for that one. She leaned her shoulder into mine. Do you ever think about the elevator? All the time. Really? Yes. Mostly because this relationship started with municipal failure. She laughed softly. I think about it too, she said. I hated being trapped. But I don't hate that I was trapped with you. That's almost a compliment. It is a compliment. Needs work. She turned her face toward me. Mark. What? Thank you for not turning my life into another fight. I looked at her, and for once I didn't hide behind the first joke that came to mind. You made the harder choice, I said. I just had to respect it. She nodded, and I could tell that mattered to her. Ryan became a name we didn't need to use much. I heard through one of Emily's old coworkers that he had moved out of his place after making trouble with the wrong group of people at work. Not some dramatic downfall. Real life is usually less cinematic and more inconvenient. His reputation caught up with his habits. People stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. That was enough. Emily kept building her life. She got promoted the next came close with my parents. My dad did, in fact, try to fix everything with tools. Emily adored him for it. As for me, I learned something I probably should have known earlier. Protecting someone is not always stepping in front of them. Sometimes it's standing beside them and keeping your mouth shut while they use their own voice. Sometimes it's driving them to the hard place, sitting in the ugly chair, and not making yourself the center of the story. I still have my old instincts. I still don't love patience. Nobody should nominate me for Emotional Monk of the Year. But I got better. And every time Emily and I ride an elevator now, she looks at me right before the doors close. Cities? She asks. I always say Chicago. She always says Orlando. Then we stand there like normal people in a working elevator, going home. Would you have trusted someone after only 7 hours trapped together? What would you do if your new relationship was attacked by someone from your partner's past?